I want to spend a little time with you today. I had an event in my life over the last week that really kind of stopped me in my tracks. And have you ever experienced a moment where perhaps you were helping someone else? You had been asked to do something, so you were needed, right? That's how generally we can get into a place where we can be affected if we'll allow it to happen. Um, and when you think you're helping someone, you receive something in return. You realize maybe this moment was as much for you as anyone else. In ministry, I can assure you, it happens to me quite often. There's times that I'll get in a sermon series or a conversation or a counseling, and through the course of that series, conversation, whatever it may be, I walk out of there gleaning like stuff from it, like learning things for myself through an expression or something I may have said or studied. Like, oh, I needed to hear that as much as anybody. And I think it's interesting if you really can step out of your norm and put yourself into places and be listening as much as you're speaking in a lot of those times. And it's something I'm learning to do better. I'm not great at it. Ask my wife. But over the course of the last couple of years, I've learned to listen a little bit more. I've learned to ask more questions than speak my own mind, if you will, because I learned it's in those moments where you gain that perspective. It's a word that I've talked about quite often. You hear me talk about on this podcast, and it's something that I don't think we'll ever get enough of. I think it's something that you'll never arrive at a place where you have all the perspective you need. Um, because you need to see the world through someone else's eyes. We are in a time in this nation with the election upcoming that there is a lot of people who have arrived at a place that their perspective, that their story, their journey is enough, and they don't need to hear anybody else's. They just want to tell you how to live your life, how to place your vote. And we don't spend enough time asking the whys. We don't spend enough time wanting to know how you arrived at this place so we can have fruitful conversation about the why. I think there's not enough people in this country that know why they're voting for somebody. They don't have. I'm voting for this because of this, this, and this. They get a long list of reasons why they're not voting for somebody. Well, I'm not voting for this person because of this, this, and this. I'm voting for this person because they're not this, this, and this. Like that's the negative thought processes. I was in a call this week, and one of the things that was shared is a study that a question was asked: is it more fruitful for people's lives to a talk more positively to yourself or to stop speaking negatively to yourself? Now, while most would say it's the positive, right? Even you spend more time speaking positively, it injects positivity. But what happens is if you don't become very aware of the negativity that's spoken and that you speak, even the positive things that now go through and get intermingled with the negative filter can be affected. And it's not as positive as it used to be. Like this is what's happening in the election when you look at some of these campaign slogans and agendas is while they're trying to say something positive, it always comes off negatively. It's always comes off as armed and aimed at somebody. And I think that's the problem with life as a whole is you get these backhanded comments like or compliments. Like I'm trying to say something nice to you, but you said like three things bad about me before you ever got to that place. Or you gave it substance where it wasn't quite as good as maybe you intended, or maybe you did it on purpose.